The Shining is the 1980 adaptation of Stephen King's novel, directed by Stanley Kubrick. I'm sure, as everyone knows, well, maybe if you don't know, then that's fine. Stephen King wasn't a really big fan of the film initially because what Stanley Kubrick did was he changed a whole bunch of things to it, tried to make it a little bit more warped, and I thought that for the most part Kubrick succeeded in that. This isn't a perfect film, just my opinion, but you know what? That's fine. It still is one of the best horror films out there. There are a lot of iconic moments, so many things that will always be famous and will never ever grow old at all. Like you have Jack Nicholson with his whole "Here's Johnny" bit, and I thought that was, and I still think to this day that will never ever grow old. But there are okay. I really always say that there's one flaw of the film that kind of prevents me from calling this Stanley Kubrick's best film ever, and from me calling this the best horror film ever. If I made a list of top 10 horror films, yeah, definitely Shining would be on the list. If I made a list of top 5 horror films, Shining, it probably wouldn't make the list. Top 5 Kubrick films, yeah, this would make the list. And you know what, that's fine, whatever. So the movie stars Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall and Danny Lloyd and Scatman Crothers. Jack Nicholson, Duvall, and Lloyd. They play this little family, the Torrances, and Jack is a former school teacher who's an alcoholic, and he wants to do more of his writing. He accepts a job at the Overlook Hotel, and like for the winter off season, and his wife and son accompany him. And the movie essentially becomes a 3-person film with Scatman Crothers joining in like every so often. And the movie really does a great job with tackling cabin fever and isolation and family dynamics and the supernatural. It juggles all 4 of those things all very well together, and you really get to feel for all of them very well. Jack Nicholson gives one of his top performances as the main character of the film, Jack Torrance. And Shelley Duvall also does a great job in this. Danny Lloyd gives one of the best performances I've ever seen by a little kid in this. And I really thought that Lloyd should have been nominated for, maybe not win the Oscar because there's a couple of other things in 1980 that were simply better. But Danny Lloyd was nominated for an Oscar. That would have been just fine too. So after a while of all the isolation and the cabin fever, we get to think that maybe Jack's been there before. Like there's heavy duty deja vu, and also Danny has a gift that Scatman Crothers, who's one of the old workers at the Overlook, they think that he has the gift called Shining, where he can talk to people through his mind without ever opening up his mouth. And that's pretty cool stuff there. So, yeah, that after a while, Jack's mentality starts to deteriorate. He gets crazier. It's just wild, and that's kind of where the film takes a bit of a plunge. Okay, just a bit. Okay, I'm going to start off by saying that the movie was remade into a miniseries in 1997, and it's a lot closer. It's almost a shot by shot thing of the book. And the one thing in the movie, in that miniseries, and in the book that I don't think that Kubrick quite captured well was the family man essence of Jack. I get that that Jack and Wendy, who's Shelley Duvall, have had marital problems, But we never ever seem in the film that Jack really, like, we see, it just seems that Jack has always been so agitated by his family. Like, he's so resentful of Wendy and Danny, and they're just excess baggage for him. In the book and in the miniseries, we get way more of a loving father who's trying to fight these demons that are plaguing him. There's only two scenes in this 1980 film where we kind of get Jack being a good father. It's where he has a bad dream of him killing his wife and son, and when he gives his son a big hug. But I don't think that was that. I don't think that was enough. I thought that if they would have done more with the whole good family man dynamic of that, that they would have added some more layers to an already great film. Would have made a great film even greater. Would have made a great performance even greater. Would have made a complex film even more complex. And I don't think. I hate to say it, but I don't think that adding that would have been that hard to do. I thought it would have been totally good. But you know what? Just one man's a little opinion, and I don't mean to, I know that I kind of griped about that for a while, but the way that stands right now, this is it still is a mighty fine film. That's really the only flaw that I found with this was the whole family man dynamic. But that doesn't do a whole lot to really drag the rating of this down. It almost does, but ultimately doesn't. So, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to give The Shining from 1980 4 stars.